Good morning, children. This is Sai Sundari, Department of Social Studies. In the previous class, I have already explained about climate of India. Another geography lesson now we are going to learn that is about Indian rivers and water resources. Indian rivers and water resources means you all might have heard about the rivers. India is the land of rivers. We have many more rivers present in our country, and we are fortunate enough we have such a very good river system, drainage system is situated in India. Now let us learn in detail about the drainage system in our country. Firstly, if you observe about the water resources, do you know the importance of water? Yes, life is possible on the earth surface just because of the existence of air and water, isn't it? Life is possible on the earth because of the existence of air and water. About the importance of air and all in the previous lesson we have learned in the climate lesson and all. So now let us know about the importance of water. Water is a very important factor in our life, not only for the human beings. Human beings, plants and animals need water, otherwise we cannot sustain on the earth's surface. You know very well, earth is called as a blue planet. Why earth is called as a blue planet, you know? Major part of earth's surface is covered with water. That is why earth is called as a blue planet. So, in this blue planet, where is our country? You know very well about the continents and all, and the location of India you have read in first chapter. India is located in Asian continent, isn't it? And another important one is in the based on the geographical features, where are these water resources in our country? And from where these rivers started flowing, and what are the tributaries, what is the use of these water resources, in what way we are utilizing the water resources, and what are the problems faced by the people in getting these resources, and what are the problems are the disputes between the states in India in the distribution of waters and all. Let us discuss in this chapter. And according to the public examination point of view, for this lesson, weightage is 6 marks. Sure, in the public examination, if you go thorough with this particular lesson, India rivers and water resources, you are going to get 6 marks. Of course, they will give these question and answers based on 1 mark questions or half mark questions or 2 marks or 4 marks or map pointing or map reading or any picture reading, based on that any kind of question. Total weightage for this lesson is 6 marks. So that you have to concentrate much more on this particular lesson, and it will be very easy for you. Easily you can understand about the river systems and all. Shall we continue? Yeah, first of all, let us know about the meaning of a river. Actually, India rivers and water resources kada. So let us know the meaning of a river. What is meant by a river? A river is a natural water course, usually fresh water. You all might have known water is available, abundantly available on the earth surface, but major part of water is salt water. Can we drink salt water? No, we cannot. So we need fresh water. So generally river is a natural water course, usually fresh water. River water is always fresh water, flow towards ocean or a sea. So finally all the rivers join the oceans and seas, isn't it? So what is the definition of a river? A river is a natural water course, usually fresh water, flow towards ocean or a sea. So this is what the definition of a river. Okay, now let us know about the river system in India. So river system or the drainage system means water flow. So how it got adjusted in our country based on the geographical structure. Indian river drainage system got adjusted in such a way based on the geographical features, in the sense you might have read in first lesson about the India physical features, especially these three, based on these three physical features. That is why first mind map I have drawn like this about the adjustment of drainage system in India. Drainage system in India got adjusted based on these three physiographic divisions like Himalayas, Indo-Gangetic Plain and the Peninsular Plateau. What are the three physiographic divisions? First one is Himalayas, another one is Indo-Gangetic Plain and the Peninsular Plateau. Based on these three physiographic divisions, Indian river systems got adjusted. Now let us discuss about the river systems. Actually, Indian river systems were divided into two categories. One is about Himalayan rivers, another one is about peninsular rivers. So why they classified the rivers into Himalayan rivers and peninsular rivers, because the Himalayan rivers means those rivers had their origin from the Himalayan mountains, and the origin for the peninsular rivers is from the peninsular region, from the Western Ghats. So that the division was given in such a way that Indian river system was classified into two categories. One is Himalayan rivers, another one is peninsular rivers. Now let us discuss about Himalayan rivers. See, almost all the Himalayan rivers had their origin in one particular place. Of course, a little bit variation, distance will be there from that, but mainly from the one particular area, that is Manas Sarovar Lake. You might have heard about Manas Sarovar Lake in the Himalayan ranges. So from there, almost all the major river systems in the Himalayan river systems had their origin. Now let us discuss about the major Himalayan river systems. Of course, many rivers were there, but major rivers in Himalayan region are three. What are those three? First one is Indus River, another one is Ganga River, and third one is Brahmaputra. These three are the important river systems in the Himalayan range. So, Himalayan river system, these three are very important. One is Indus River, second one is Ganga River, and third one is Brahmaputra. These three are the major river courses, but many other tributaries are also there. We'll know about all those tributaries also. First, let us know about the main river systems, where it started, where they are flowing, and what are the important tributaries, and all. Let us discuss. Okay, now before knowing about the origin of these river systems and all, we have to know about the importance of water resources. See here what I mentioned, rivers and water resources, I told you now. So about the river definition I told you. And now let us know about the water resources. Generally, where do we get water? Of course, water is available. I mean, especially fresh water, let us take into consideration about the freshwater resources. So in the freshwater resources, first and foremost thing we mentioned here about river. After that, what are the other water resources? Means rivers, lakes, canals, tanks, ponds, wells, tube wells are underground water resources. These are all comes under water resources. So throughout the country, where these water resources are located, in what way we are using, we are discussing. After that, another important point you have to understand about the importance of river. What is the importance of river? In what way we are using the river water? You all might have known about the importance of water. Importance of water. So water is very important for drinking purpose and for the domestic purpose. Domestic means household purpose. I need not say what all the household things, in what way we are using the water resources. For example, for bathing and for cooking and for cleaning, for all these things. Household means like that. So first category is for drinking, we are using this river water. Another one is fresh water. Another one is for household purpose. Another important one is there. Water is also used for agriculture purpose. We cannot provide seawater for the crops. We have to provide this fresh water only by providing irrigation facilities. Irrigation means water supply. Generally in our country, irrigation is of three kinds: canals, rivers, and the trans. So in our country, these water resources we are using not only for the domestic purpose but also for agricultural needs. So actually, India is the land of agriculture. Majority of the people depended on agriculture. Nearly 80% of Indian population depended on agriculture. Agriculture is their livelihood. So water is very important for agriculture. So for agriculture purpose we are using, for domestic purpose we are using, and for industrial purpose. So for industries also we need much more water. Another important one is these water resources we are utilizing for the generation of electricity. You all might have known hydroelectricity. Do you know how electricity is generated? Yes, hydroelectricity means generating electricity by using water. They used to construct the big reservoirs and by using turbines and they used to generate electricity. That electricity is called as hydroelectricity. So that water is used for generation of electricity. Another important one is it acts as a tourist centers. Another important one is water is used for the habitat. Many more animals and plants are grown near the water bodies. And another one is it is very useful for fish culture, shrimp culture. For all these purposes, we are utilizing the water. So for these many uses are there for the water means won't you take care of the water resources? We have to know we are using water means we have to know where is the source, how much quantity of water is available in our area, for what purpose we are using, and how we are wasting the water. Without wasting water, how we have to save the water. All these things we have to think over it or not. Yes, it is very essential. Now let us discuss in a detailed way. See, now we are discussing about Himalayan rivers. No, in the Himalayan river systems, let us discuss about Indus River. So, what I told you, one point I told that almost all Himalayan rivers had their origin in one particular place, that is Manasa Sarovar Lake. From there, here and there, a little distance will be there. But major source is from the Manasa Sarovar Lake in the Himalayas near the Tibet. Actually, this Indus River started from the Kailash range near Tibet. Near the Kailash range near Tibet in Manasa Sarovar Lake. So from that place, Indus started flowing. So here, actually, almost all the rivers first started flowing parallel to the mountain ranges, and suddenly they used to take a downstream like, and they're flowing towards some rivers are flowing towards eastward direction, and this Indus River flowing towards westward direction, and it enters into Jammu and Kashmir, and after that it entering into the Pakistan, and finally it drains into Arabian Sea. See here actually this Indus River flowing through three important states in our country. One is about the Jammu Kashmir, another one is about Himachal Pradesh, and another one is about Punjab. Isn't it? So now here let us know what are the tributaries of the river Indus. So what actually you all heard about the tributary. River definition here I told you. Then what is meant by tributary? Tributary is a small river or a stream which joins the main river. For example, here is the main river, and here onwards a small stream like it's flowing and joining into the main river. It is called as a tributary. Small river or a stream which joins the main river is called as a tributary. So likewise for the Indus River, many tributaries are there. Major tributaries are 5. They are called as, can anyone tell? Okay. In these tributaries, you might have heard about the one particular state in India called as a land of 5 rivers. Which state in India is called land of 5 rivers? Punjab. Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas and Satluj. These are the 5 important tributaries of river Indus. Okay now. Now what are the tributaries of river Indus? Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas and Satluj. So all these 5 rivers are called as major tributaries of river Indus. So this river Indus flows through 3 important states I told. What are the 3 important states? One is Jammu and Kashmir, another one is Punjab, another one is Himachal Pradesh. And after that it's flowing towards westward direction and entering into the Pakistan. Finally it drains into Arabian Sea. This is what about the river system of Indus. Okay now. Now let us discuss about Brahmaputra. So Brahmaputra river. So Brahmaputra river, where it started? Actually, this Brahmaputra river started from the Chemyongdong glacier. Chemyongdong glacier in Kailash range. This is also from Kailash range. Indus also from Kailash range. So from the Chemyongdong glacier, it started. It is in actually this Chemyongdong glacier comes near the Tibet. So actually, first it started in Tibet. So in Tibet, this Brahmaputra river is called as Sangpo. Brahmaputra river is called as Sangpo in Tibet. After that, it enters into India from the Arunachal Pradesh. From which state it enters into India? From the Tibet, and it's flowing towards eastward direction, and suddenly it has taken a bend and enters into Arunachal Pradesh. Arunachal Pradesh, after that Assam, and after that it entering into the Bangladesh and finally reaching Bay of Bengal. Isn't it? Okay, here let us see about this Sangpo. It is called as a Sangpo in Tibet. After that, as and when it is entering into India, it is first in Arunachal Pradesh, it is called as Dihang. What is another name for Brahmaputra river? It is called as Dihang. After that, it is entering into the Assam Valley, and after that, coming into the Bangladesh. So there it has 2 small tributaries like Dibang and the Lohit. What are the 2 important tributaries like Dibang and the Lohit? So this one actually from the Manasa Sarovar lake it started flowing like this. And from Arunachal Pradesh, it is entering into India. This is about Brahmaputra river basin. Another one is Ganga river. Major river system. It is very, 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 very important. So where this Ganga river started? Actually, Ganga river has twin sources. Twin means 2. What are the twin sources? One is from Gangotri glacier. Another one is about Santopant glacier. Santopant glacier and the Gangotri glacier. So these 2 are called the 2 head streams called as Bhagirathi and Alaknanda. These are called as Bhagirathi and Alaknanda. 2 head streams are there, Alaknanda and Bhagirathi. These 2 head streams are joining in one particular place called as Devaprayag. Where these 2 streams joining? In the Devaprayag. In which particular place? Near Haridwar hills. Where it is joining? In the Haridwar hills. From there it started flowing. So what is the origin of this Ganga river? Ganga river has twin sources. One is Gangotri, another one is Satopant. And it is otherwise called as here is about Bhagirathi and the Alaknanda twin sources. Alaknanda and Bhagirathi join at Devaprayag. This Devaprayag is near Haridwar hills. So from there it started flowing, and it covers the states like Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Jharkhand and West Bengal, and finally it is entering into Bangladesh also. In Bangladesh there is another name for Ganga, in Bangladesh the Ganga river is called as Padma. What is the name of Ganga in Bangladesh? See, in Bangladesh Ganga river is called as Padma. So after that finally this Ganga river also entering into the Bay of Bengal. Okay, now another important point here we have to understand about the tributaries of Ganga. See, about the tributaries of Ganga means first major tributary of Ganga river is Yamuna. After that, many tributaries, small tributaries are there, like Betwa, Gagra, Teesta, Son, and likewise many tributaries are there. Regarding that particular Ganga river system, a very important map was given in the textbook, page number 60. In the page number 60, Ganga joining, how it is joining that river system was very clearly mentioned in that. After completion of this topic, you just refer the textbook and observe the map, observe the Ganga river system map, then you can understand about the major tributaries of this Ganga and in how many states it covered, and very clearly it was mentioned. Actually, this Ganga river also joined with the Brahmaputra river and finally it reaching the Bay of Bengal. Okay, now this is very important one. So up to here we have covered one topic, that is about Himalayan rivers, isn't it? So now have you all understood, children, about the Himalayan rivers? So Himalayan rivers are classified into three main major river systems. One is about Indus river, another one is about Brahmaputra, another one is about Ganga. Is it clear to you all? Shall we go to another river system in India? Yes. Now another river system, let us discuss. That is about peninsular rivers. Again, let us go back. What is a peninsula? A peninsula is a piece of land surrounded by water on three sides. You all might have known southern part of India is called as a peninsular region. So actually, generally almost all the rivers had their origin from the hills or the mountain ranges. Of course, Himalayan rivers had their origin from the Himalayan mountains. Then where is the origin for the peninsular rivers? The origin for the peninsular rivers is from the Western Ghats. Major peninsular rivers had their origin from the Western Ghats. Now let us discuss about these peninsular rivers also. After that, let us know in detail about the differences between Himalayan rivers and the peninsular rivers. Okay now. Okay, first I will tell about the difference between Himalayan rivers and the peninsular rivers. Actually, Himalayan rivers are called as perennial rivers. What is called as a perennial river? Perennial river in the sense throughout the year water flow will be there in that particular rivers. Isn't it? So, why these Himalayan rivers are called as a perennial rivers? Because throughout the year water flow will be there. How throughout the year water flow will be there in the rivers means because the origin of this river is from the glaciers. And heavy rainfall will be there in that region. So that is why throughout the year water will be abundantly, water is available in this Himalayan river systems. Whereas come to the peninsular region, peninsular rivers are called as rain-fed rivers. Because water level will increase based on the rainfall. Otherwise, water level may decrease. And sometimes even during summer season, water won't be there. You all might have known about the Krishna river. Yes, we are living on the banks of the river Krishna. So if you observe in the summer season, water will be very less. In some areas, the whole area will be dried up like. So it is called as a rain-fed rivers. So perennial rivers in the sense throughout the year, water will be there in the particular rivers. And in the peninsular rivers are called as rain-fed rivers. So this is what the main difference. Okay now. And these Himalayan rivers or the perennial rivers provide water supply to North India, major part of North India depended on these perennial rivers. And major part of peninsular rivers gives water resources to the peninsular India. This is one important point. Another important thing here which we have to discuss about this, important peninsular rivers. So now let us discuss about the important peninsular rivers. Here I mentioned about the important peninsular rivers. First, two west flowing rivers were there. Those two are Narmada and Tapati. After that you see about the Mahanadi. Mahanadi, of course, this is also flowing towards eastward direction. And after that Godavari, Krishna, Penna and the Kaveri. These are the major river systems in peninsular India. Okay now. So let us know in detail about these major river systems in peninsular region. So first of all, if you take Narmada and Tapati, As I told you, these two are best flowing rivers. Except Narmada and Tapati, remaining almost all peninsular rivers are flowing towards eastward direction and joining into the Bay of Bengal. What is the reason for that? Just you might have read about the peninsular plateau in the first chapter. So peninsular plateau means Deccan plateau. So this Deccan plateau tilted towards east. So what is the origin for these rivers? Western Ghats. Where are these Western Ghats located? Western Ghats are located in the western side of India. Isn't it? Western Ghats are the boundary for the Deccan plateau. So that this side, these mountains are somewhat higher than the eastern Ghats. And another reason is this peninsular plateau is tilted towards eastward direction. That is why almost all the peninsular rivers started flowing towards eastward direction and joining into the Bay of Bengal. This is what the reason. Now let us know about this Narmada and Tapati. So where these Narmada and Tapati rivers started flowing from? Narmada river had their origin from Amarkantak and Tapati river Multai hills. So nearby, actually river Narmada flows through the Rift Valley. And that in that Rift Valley, in the sense, what is meant by Rift Valley means lower elevated area which has, near the two mountain ranges, like you might have known in the central India, Vindhya mountains are there. Vindhyas are centrally located in India, and after that just down to the Satpura ranges are there. In between Vindhyas and Satpuras, this Narmada river is flowing. So Narmada and Tapati rivers are only west flowing rivers. These two are joining into the Arabian Sea. Another two small tributaries were there, small rivers were there, which are also there nearby Gujarat area. Further, we used to call it in a short form like lemon tea. Do you know? Do you want lemon tea? Lemon tea means in a short form, I told that Luni, Mahi, Narmada, Tapati. What are those four? Because remaining all river systems are in eastward direction only, no? So that is what I just wanted to give a briefing regarding this western side rivers, Narmada, Tapati and Luni, Mahi. So in order, if you observe Luni, L for Luni, M for Mahi, N for Narmada, T for Tapati, lemon tea. Is it okay? Okay, now let us discuss about other rivers.